Came before the Sunshine Magistrates Court for a particularly difficult plea because this is one of those pleas where a client has come before the court for repeated offending and it hasn't really given me much to work with in terms of a plea. And in this case, it was a large volume of traffic matters. And we had an exceptionally unique magistrate here at the Sunshine Court. And he started off with a very unique role play. And it's very interesting. It sort of sent the message home very succinctly, because the role play itself involved my client having to put himself in the shoes of a police officer who has to deliver some bad news to the wife of a victim who suffered a fatality on the road. And it was a great way to send that message home without showing that penalties can be very lenient in the magistrate's court. And he is a particularly lenient magistrate, but he's a magistrate that likes to approach things from a different angle. He'll give you the leniency because he realizes that people just don't deserve to go to jail for driving matters. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't killed anyone on the road. He hasn't got to that point. We're not punishing people for what might happen. We're punishing people for what has happened. The fact of the matter is, you're drug driving, you're driving without a license, but you haven't committed anything else. You're just driving with drugs in your system, So in his mind, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to send him to jail, but I'm going to make him appreciate the severity of what might happen if he is found with drugs in the system after a very fatal road collision. And it was a fantastic way to send a message across. And I commend that magistrate for a very unique and difficult take on these kinds of things, where other magistrates might just be like, you know what, he's got a fair bit of history. I'm just going to put him in jail for 4 months and he'll learn his lesson. I just don't think there's much creativity around that, but I understand that sometimes for a magistrate, your hands are tied. So ultimately, it was a good result because my client, instead of going to jail, having the extensive priors, actually received a good behavior bond and a fine. Some courses were imposed, charity fees were imposed as well, but he walked out of there with a massive lesson, and I could see on his face that it was a very different experience for him.